What was your biggest thing that happened last night?
I mean, it was probably – well, I guess it was Houston losing, right?
You better get this right.
It was Houston losing.
Yeah, or Isaac Brown. I honestly think it was more Isaac Brown and Wichita than Houston losing, because Houston losing, yeah, maybe it moves them from like the 2-line to the 3-line. And really, they don't have a lot. So we can get into Houston in a minute. There's not a lot to their resume. And since they've lost Mills, they haven't really beaten anybody great without – they beat Boise and Texas Tech early. Both of them very early with Mills. And ultimately, we've talked about this. Texas Tech, you want to get them early because they're always completely different, where Houston had everything coming back. But let's get to Isaac Brown. And to me, this is – we talked about this a little bit in the past, but this feels eerily similar to Chris Holtmann at Butler and Greg Gard at Wisconsin. Athletic directors, they took over the job when their head coach kind of either stepped away, Bo Ryan to retire, or Brandon Miller at Butler because he had some personal things going on. They both stepped away. These guys got the job on an interim basis, and you know what? They didn't give their ADs any choice whether to hire them or not. I don't think Barry Collier wanted to really hire Chris Holtmann full-time permanently. I don't think Barry Alvarez ever wanted to hire Greg Gard permanently. But again, they wanted a high enough level that they gave him no other option. And I think that's what's going on here with Wichita State. Darren Boatwright, listen, he'd like to do a national search. There's no doubt. After Greg Marshall got fired and somehow collected $7.75 million out the door, Isaac Brown took over on an interim basis right before the start of the season. I mean, this thing dragged out until like a week before the start of the regular season. Isaac Brown had no idea what was going on. They brought, Billy Kennedy on to help him, on the bench, just help him out a little bit. But Isaac Brown now has this team. They beat Houston last night, and they're right there to win the American. They're right there to beat Houston in the American. Their losses are of the quality variety. They finally have a resume win. And it is time, Darren Boatwright, to put some papers in front of Isaac Brown that say you are no longer the interim head coach. You have done exactly what we asked you to do and more. You have won games. You handle yourself the right way. The players like you. You're not punching your players. You're not verbally abusing your players. You are treating them with respect, and you are winning games. So, Isaac Brown, you should be the head coach at Wichita State for at least the next 4 years.
I know it's not funny, but you're not punching your players. Like that's a qualification for getting the job. So I'm really, really rooting for him in the spot. I want him to get it, and I want him to kill it. I want him to crush it. And it's the same reason that I really, really was rooting for Mike Boynton to be able to get it done at Oklahoma State, and for White King Jones to be able to get it done at Cal, which didn't necessarily work out as well. And for Maurice Joseph to go out and be awesome at GW, which, lasted 3 years and he was pretty good for a while, but that was a tough spot for him to be put in. And the reason for that is that I remember very vividly, I had a conversation with a guy, like all of those three hires, Mike, White King, and Mojo, kind of happened in the same 6-month window, right? And all of them were young black assistants on a staff where the white head coach was fired. And I remember having a conversation with a guy that was like, look, this is not necessarily going to be the best thing for my career, because these three guys are kind of my profile. And if they don't succeed, like, it gives athletic directors a reason to not hire people that look like me. And getting that job at Cal when White King got it was not necessarily the greatest situation to be walking into. He was kind of playing against a stacked deck and didn't work out for him. We talked about Mojo and, the fact that when you take over for someone like Lonergan, that was not –
he couldn't win. And he went from the ops guy. He went from the ops guy to head coach in a year. I love Mojo, but that was
a tough spot, man. It was a really tough spot to be put in a place where – the guys on the team were either loyal to Lonergan or were like, do I really want to be here for to go through all of it's just a weird
his staff. The other part was his staff, because they each all thought they should have gotten the head job and didn't get it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's it's not just like, yeah. So all of that involved,
the dynamics.
put all of those guys into a really difficult spot. And, both of us have been kind of, made this point a lot where we want to see more diversity in the hiring at the Division I level and the head coaching level. And having those guys in those situations, it was good because you're getting black guys that are getting a chance to be a head coach. But when you put them in a situation where they're not necessarily set up to succeed, like, it gives people a reason to not go in that direction the next time the situation comes up. So I love the fact that Mike Boynton is doing really well. I think he's been better than a lot of us necessarily expected, given the situation that he walked in. Like, he was getting paid like half of what the next lowest person was getting paid in the Big 12, right? But he's getting the job done, man, and credit to him. Like, that team is good. They play hard. He's a likable dude. He's able to recruit at a certain level, so I'm glad he's able to get it done. And I really want to see Isaac Brown get it done too, because it creates like an incentive. Maybe that's the wrong word, but like it makes athletic directors say, well, look, you know what? If Oklahoma had success pulling Mike Boynton off the bench and Wichita State had success pulling Isaac Brown off the bench, well, maybe I should go on to this staff and get that assistant right there and bring him into my program and say, you know what, before you can take over for that head coach that leaves, I'm going to go cut the line. I'm going to bring him into my program and let him run my program. So that's a long way of saying I'm very glad Mike Boynton's having success. Isaac Brown, get it done, man. Come on.
I'll give you one more who should get the permanent job. TJ Johnson, right? TJ Johnson.
Oh yeah.
State. I mean, they're in first place, 15-6, 9-3. Danny Casper was fired just before the start of the season, pretty much after some allegations, racist comments that he made, and TJ has done an unbelievable job. So there's another one. Give TJ the job now.
Yes,
he has earned it. Like what are we waiting for in some of these spots? Like just do it. It's only going to help you with recruiting, also.
Mm-hmm.
The longer you wait, the more it's going to hurt you with recruiting. And I feel like Wichita. The other thing that was awesome last night, I don't know if you watched the end of the game, but two players made huge plays that I've rooted for all year. And one is Tariq Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
I love the kid. I feel so bad what he's gone through in his career. McDonald's All-American. He probably thought he was a one and done. He never was, probably, even if he was healthy, but he would have been a hell of a college player, like a hell of a college player. And 3 shoulder surgeries. He's handled it with class. He transfers to Wichita. Been a little bit up and down this year, but made a huge drive last night at the end of the game. And then Dexter Dennis, who's really struggled this year and thought long and hard about transferring last offseason, but he stuck with it. And he has not shot the ball well this year at all. Has the biggest defensive play, probably biggest play of his career last night, picking off that pass at the end of the game when Houston had a chance to win it. Mm-hmm. and laying it in, getting the flagrant foul on the play. And, that was huge. Those two guys, rooting for them. And, again, now I haven't checked. I'm going to check right now. Have you looked at the net and what?
68. They jumped up from 77 to 68.
Not high enough. But, again, the net's not everything, but you certainly want to put yourself in the equation. And the other part is, listen, they beat him once. Now, in their mind, like, can anybody win the AAC tournament? Why not?
I mean, Houston,
they're good.
Houston's good.
Yeah, good.
Losing Mills kind of took away a little bit of like what made them great in terms of having like just another guy that can go out there and go get you a bucket. But I mean, look, losing on the road, they've lost to what? At East Carolina, at Tulsa, at Wichita.
Yeah,
it's not like those are. The East Carolina one's tough, but that was like you got to consider the circumstance in that one, where they thought they were going to be playing Gonzaga all week, and then they get Our Lady of the Lake and have to go play at East Carolina. Like, talk about a buzzkill. But like Tulsa's good, and losing on the road by 1, whatever, and Wichita State's good, and losing on the road by it was basically 1 possession, right? If there wasn't the flagrant foul at the end, so I'm not super worried.
But yeah, no, listen, Houston. I don't think too many teams are going to be scared of drawing Houston if they're like a number 2 or 3 seed.
Yeah, whatever. Like they're right there at the same level as a lot of those teams that are going to be on that 2 and 3 seed line. I would probably have them a little bit below the top of the Big Ten and maybe Alabama, but like they're still in the mix with like the Tennessees of the world.